Chris Mannix for SI.com alongside Rohan Nagkarni and Howard Beck. Guys, the MVP race is heating up as we get around the quarter point of the season. An old stalwart is sitting there right among the top and a couple of newcomers in that mix. Rohan, who do you like for MVP in the early stage of the season?
So, Chris, I think there are two ways to answer this question. You can predict who is going to be MVP by the end of the season, or you can pick an MVP for the first quarter. If I'm picking an MVP for the first quarter, my pick is Joel Embiid. I just think Embiid has really been the most dominant force in the league through the first, 25 games, 21 games of the season. A two-way force. I think he's fourth in scoring right now, first in PER. You can see his stats right there, a double-double a night. Not to mention what he does on the defensive end. He's the anchor of what the Sixers do on that side of the floor. I don't think there's a matchup for Embiid in the league right now. There are not a lot of post defenders left in the NBA. There are not a lot of post defenders left who can play both sides of the floor. He really has a mismatch every night, and he's attacking whoever is in front of him. I think he's been really just the most complete player in the NBA through the first quarter of the season.
Yeah, Joel Embiid is a great choice, and if we were turning in mythical first quarter of the season ballots, I would have him strongly second behind LeBron James. And I want to be clear, this isn't the sentimental choice. This isn't we're grading LeBron on a curve because he's old and we're impressed by the fact that he's doing this in year 18. No, LeBron James is legitimately having not just a great season, but I think the best season in the NBA. You see the numbers there, 25 points a game, nearly 8 rebounds and 8 assists, a career high 41% on three-pointers, and he is among the anchors of the number one defense in the league. Lakers are 7th in offensive efficiency. And by the way, he's played every single game. Joel Embiid has missed 5 of the 24 games the Sixers have played so far. A lot of the other candidates that people have put out there, Kawhi Leonard, of course, has, as usual, missed a bunch of games, rested a bunch of games. LeBron is out there every night. There's that cliche about the best ability is availability. That is as important in MVP discussions as anything else. You got to be not only having a phenomenal season, a dominant season, but your team has to be one of the best in the league. Lakers are number 2 in the NBA in record, and you got to play, hopefully every night.
Let me add, it's just remarkable that LeBron is in this discussion right now. Not that he doesn't have the talent at 36 years old, but I think there was a widespread expectation that given that there was such a quick turnaround from the Lakers championship in the bubble, that LeBron might ease into the season. We all remember those Danny Green comments in late November where he's like, you might not see LeBron for the first month of the season. Well, I guess that's out the window. The competitive juices get flowing in LeBron, and he continues to play like LeBron. Now, I think the key for LeBron winning MVP, and he is my MVP as well, Howard, at the top, but I think the key for LeBron winning MVP is going to be the Lakers staying at that number 1 position in the Western Conference, because he's not going to have the best statistics of anybody in that MVP race. He is playing all the games, but he's averaging the fewest minutes of his career, and I believe that's intentional because Frank Vogel wants to make sure that his workhorse is ready to go come playoff time. He is high up there, personal, plus minus, a couple other categories he's pretty high in, but when it comes to traditional stats, he's not going to be at the top of many of these lists. But the Lakers stay right there at the top of the Western Conference. And if that defense stays at the top of the Western Conference, I think, Howard, there's going to be widespread support to vote for LeBron James over somebody that might have better statistics.
Well, and that's the thing. Look, as you guys know, because every time we have this discussion, I say MVP is about 2 things. You got to check both boxes, individual excellence and team success. So you got to be a contending team. Right now, say Luka Doncic, who was the preseason favorite for reasons I wasn't quite clear on, but he's great individually, but the Mavericks are a mess right now. He's out of the discussion for the time being. He may yet re-enter the discussion. Kevin Durant, I think, is on the fringe of this discussion, both because of games he's missed and the fact that the Nets are still kind of uneven. But the Lakers are consistently great. LeBron is consistently great. They don't have to be number 1 in the West. Like I say, they're number 2 in the league right now in record. They've got to have one of the best records. Again, that to me is always a requirement for the MVP. You've got to be on one of the best teams in the league. LeBron is. He's the most important player on that team. And so he still leads that discussion. This will evolve as it always does over the next couple of months. And some of those other names I mentioned will be in there. But At this point, I think LeBron is the clear front runner.
Rowan, let me ask you this to give you the last word here. I don't think LeBron was robbed last year. I mean, it's a regular season award. Giannis had one of the greatest regular seasons that we've ever seen. But I think in addition to all the things we talked about, there might be some, what's the opposite of voter fatigue? Voter enthusiasm for LeBron James this time around, because there'll be this perception that LeBron deserved it last year.
That's something that I think always follows LeBron around in the MVP discussion. It's, should he have 10 MVPs? Is there a way to kind of recognize that even though he doesn't always have the best regular season, he's still kind of the most important guy in the league? And some people will attach the narrative to this. I do think there will be an element of that. I do think people will bring that up. But I do think both of you guys make great points in that this isn't going to be a lifetime achievement award MVP for LeBron James. If he does win, it's going to be based off the strength of him being the best player on one of the best teams.
Yeah, and certainly will be another remarkable accomplishment in a career just full of them. For more, check us out over at SI.com.